Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Goffstown School Board. I call the meeting to order at 7. Let's stand and say the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Correspondence.
In the correspondence folder this evening is a letter that I had to submit on behalf of the school district for the hazard mitigation generator grant that we are still pursuing at Goffstown High School. So we had to send them a commitment letter. So I did that on your behalf for a local match commitment of $136,398. Later in the agenda, we have an agenda item for the board to approve that. So I submitted the letter on your behalf, but we need to have the motion in public. So the letter can come around as part of the correspondence.
Perfect, thank you. All right, good news and accommodations. Brady.
All right, to start off, last Saturday, 7 Goffstown High School seniors went to St. A's to participate in the Regional Ethics Bowl event, where I was included in this, so I'm kind of proud of this. We won the whole event. We competed against 17 other teams from across the region, and then coming up we'll be doing like a district thing, and if we win that, we'll get to go to the Nationals. This weekend, Friday and Saturday, there's going to be the Little Mermaid, and that's also next weekend, so come out and support the cast. And then next week will be Winter Carnival Week, where we'll also be doing a canned food drive.
Nice, thank you. All right, Mr. Davis.
All right, so from Mountain View, Ms. Nelson wanted me to reach out and let everybody know that they're running their annual Liberty House fundraiser this year. They're falling a little short this year. Their goal was $1,601. They raised $1,600 last year. Currently, they're only at $744, so she's welcoming any and all donations people are willing to make, and they can reach out to her, and she wanted people to know that $1 can help provide up to 10 meals for a veteran. The Sea Science Center was at Mountain View last week, and they worked with the entire 7th grade doing a project called Ghost Heart, where the students had some hands-on experience of decellularizing an organ and then recellularizing it for like potential transplants. The students had a great time getting to ask a lot of questions and getting this hands-on experience. And a lot of the students were really kind of surprised that a lot of this cutting-edge technology is happening right here in Manchester. Well, not right here, but our next-door neighbor. And Team 7-3 is running a very cool project this year. So they started at the beginning of the year with a project called the Ripple Effect, in which the entire team of students each either chose an individual project or a small group project. And once a week, they take about an hour of time. It's mainly their ACE time, and the students work on their project. And some of the projects that students are working on this year, they had a small group that is research designed and are building an underwater robot, which they are going to compete at UNH this year. They had a student who designed and is in the process of building his own guitar. They have several students who are writing pieces that they plan to submit to some writing competitions, as well as there's several cookbooks that are being written, as well as many, many other projects. Right before the April vacation, they're planning a student showcase, and they wanted me to let you guys know that as soon as the date is confirmed, they would love for any board members who would love to come and see what the students are producing. It's a really cool project that they're trying this year, but they would love for any board member who wants to come and see some of this student work to please come. The chess club has been working really hard. They're getting ready for a competition at St. Benedict's School. They've got about 15 to 20 students participating this year, and they said they have some really good prospects that they're hoping to do really well at this year's competition. In March, MVMS will be celebrating the music and arts in our schools, and on March 11th, MVMS will be hosting our first arts festival from 6 to 8 p.m., along with some musical performances, and they'll be displaying student artwork from the art teachers, the digital integration, and tech ed, as well as the spring book fair will be running this year at that time. Wow. And that's it from MVS.
Wow, that's a lot.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Ms. Bean?
I have a little bit of catch up to do.
Okay.
On January 16th, our French teacher, Lorenzo, you might know his last name better than me, Angelides, took 29 French students and 3 chaperones to Quebec City for a few days of discovery, educational activities, and fun. A good time was had by all. Students in the graphics art department worked incredibly hard this year. They've been mastering skills in Photoshop, Illustrator, and creating exceptional works. They've been learning how to use features such as clipping masks, blending modes, live paint, layer adjustments, sublimation, printing, design qualities such as minimalism and maximalism. I'm going to pass around a folder of the student work that she wanted you to be able to see.
Nice.
In those folders, you're going to see that the kids used new fonts, embellishments, and Unity to enhance their pieces. There are also retro-focused posters where students utilized filters, principles of design, and brush downloads. 14 of our students from Goffstown High School have been recognized with awards from this year's New Hampshire Scholastic Art Contest. There was an award reception held for them this past weekend. Gold Award winners were Oliver Jimenez, Sam DeRochers, and Kayla McWinney. Silver awards went to Taryn Augusta and Emma Chase. Honorable mentions went to Aubrey Karen, Emma Chase, Arian Sherwin, Rachel Hohendel, Kylie Lebrecht, Liliana McKenzie, Miley Pellerin, and Maddie Pelletier. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the CAPE project. The CAPE project is organized by our guidance department, and it's where they pair students with teachers where they're anonymous. They take students who are willing to participate and teachers who are willing to participate, and they pair up a student and a teacher, and they write back and forth to each other over the period of 2 months. At the end of 2 months, they do a reveal, so they get to meet who they've been writing back and forth to. That took place on February 6th, where the participants got to have a pizza lunch and meet who they'd been writing to. And they basically are saying these are people they might never have met. Like the student might never have been in the teacher's class, the teacher might, back and forth. So it builds another connection for kids in the school. Jason Shea, our math teacher who won the Krista McAuliffe sabbatical, will be presenting at this year's National Building Thinking Classroom Conference in New Haven, Connecticut, June 29th. He will be presenting two sessions. One is called The Proof is in the Practice, Geometry as an Ultimate Thinking Classroom, which he has been modeling with 2 of our geometry classes this year, co-teaching it with one of our geometry teachers. And Beyond Tasks, Masking Self-Evaluation Work in a Thinking Classroom. He asked me to share this with you. These are the descriptions of what he'll be presenting at that conference. And that's what I have from Goffstown High School.
Thank you, Miss Bean. Go ahead, Wendy.
Great, a couple of things. So over at Maple Avenue, last Friday, Plymouth State University's Tiger Group performed their show ComQuest for all of the students at Maple. This was spearheaded and funded by the Student Council there at Maple. And ComQuest is about Ricky as he's on a journey through a typical day at school and learns about helpful tools to manage worry, stress, and fear. And it's all through fun, relatable stories and songs, and kids discover simple ways to feel more confident. So really nice program that they run. Over at Bartlett, a special shout out to Bartlett Student Council, as they've been playing a really important role in making the school a better place. They have been meeting with adults to come up with ideas, and one great example they had was to come up with an indoor recess game cart, which was developed, and all of the students got to vote on what games were on there and some nice options for before and during recess on those cold days. So a special thank you to Student Council, knowing that their voice really does matter. and made a really great impact over at Bartlett. And over at kindergarten, the students at Glen Lake enjoyed a very special Groundhog Day presentation this year, arranged by our kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Rankins. They received a surprise video message from real-life groundhog handler Ron Plusha of Puxatawney, Pennsylvania. And he was Phil's handler from 2011 to 2018, and an active member of the Inner Circle, which is the famous men that wear the top hats. So kindergarten students generated a list of questions for him, and during the presentation, Mr. Plusha answered questions, shared the history of Groundhog Day, taught students facts about groundhogs, and even revealed some fun secrets about famous Phil. He also said that the legend is that Phil is 140 years old. So kindergartners loved it. They learned about his favorite foods and other fun facts. So a special thank you to Mrs. Rankins for making that happen for our kindergarten students.
That's awesome. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commendations, good news? Go ahead, Jenny.
I'd like to thank the GHS Student Council for volunteering to babysit for our deliberative session.
Did they get a lot of kids?
I don't know.
Nice.
Brady?
0.
0 kids?
But we were there.
That's good. That's what
So
counts.
that's 2 years in a row of no kids, right,
We
Brady?
had kids last year.
You did?
We had a good amount of
They
kids
did
last
last
year,
year.
actually.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
had 0 last year, too. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's too bad people don't take the benefit of it, because they could have their kids taken care of and come to the meeting
Yeah,
and be informed.
right. Or they watch on TV and they can put their children to bed.
Yeah.
It's a school night.
But you can't vote if you're at TV.
Well, this
so.
is true. Anyone else? Accommodations, good news? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on. Is there public comment? Don't see any. So we're going to first approve the January 12th board meeting minutes. Did anybody see anything? Go ahead, Laura.
I just had one thing on
Yeah.
the articles. Superintendent Falke spoke to the open enrollment rather than myself.
Oh, yes.
You talking about minutes for deliberative?
No, so on these minutes, or I believe we discussed you
Okay.
bringing open enrollment.
Yeah,
and
Brian was the
speaking to article
one.
at deliberative.
Yeah, Brian was the one to speak to it. All right. Anything else? All right, so I'll need a motion with the amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 12th, 2026 as amended. Go ahead.
All right, by Shane, do I have a second?
Second?
By Laura. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Teachers, students? Yes, opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. So now we're going to move on. Hello. And we have Cheryl Pratt here to give us our update on our audit. So Brian, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, just welcome to Cheryl. Cheryl is a director at Plodzik and Sanderson. She's been here presenting our audit for a number of years now. So Cheryl, thank you for being here this evening. And board members should all have a copy of the audit. And any interested citizens at home watching this meeting, the audit report is on the school district's website under finances. So you should be able to, I think, pull up the materials as Cheryl is reviewing them. So welcome, Cheryl. Thank you for being here.
And I want to start by saying, once again, the staff has been, your staff has been tremendous in helping us to get the audit done in a timely fashion. I can't always say that, but they have been wonderful. Once again, we need something, they get it for us. I can't tell you how many audits we have to pause until we get information. So we look forward to coming here because everyone is attentive and gets us the information when we need it. I do also want to mention that this year's audit report was done a little differently. You're going to notice that you did receive and expend over $750,000 in federal awards, but due to the government shutdown, in part, the compliance supplement that we have to follow to do what we call as a single audit in accordance with uniform guidance got delayed because the compliance supplement that was supposed to be out in May never got issued to the day before Thanksgiving. The supplement was overhauled, and it's about 1,000 pages thick, and it took us a couple of weeks to go through that compliance supplement to determine what we had to test and how we were going to test it. Of course, because of the volume, they changed a lot of our procedures. So we were able to come in, I think it was in early January, and perform our procedures. However, we wanted to get you your financial audit in a timely fashion, so this is what you have before you. The compliance audit will be issued, it's out in draft, we're just waiting on the representation letter, then that will be issued under separate cover. But what we have to do then is we have to file a report with the Federal Clearinghouse. Once the report with the Federal Clearinghouse gets sent, we then will combine the report for them, and the whole report will be available at that time. But initially, when you get the second piece, it's going to be, you've got the financial piece, and you will be, by the end of the week, receiving the single audit piece. I am pleased to tell you that there were no findings with the single audit, and we did have to do a lot of additional testing this year, and there were no issues, so that was really good. So that's forthcoming. And actually, due to that, we're still out in many schools trying to get these compliance audits done before the March 31st deadline. So it really kind of threw a monkey wrench into things. But on page 1 is your opinion letter. As in years past, you did receive an unmodified opinion on your general fund, grants funds, and aggregate remaining funds, which are what we consider non-major funds, such as the food service fund, the private donations fund, student activities, a capital project fund that had wound down, and the permanent fund. The governmental activities received an adverse opinion because the district has not received an actuarial report to determine the value under your single employer plan. This is very common through many districts throughout the state, not only schools, but towns as well. And until you have to have that done, a lot just accept the adverse opinion on the government-wide financial statements. The bond bank, like if you were going to go out and borrow a bond or get a grant, a lot of times they'll see they'll look at the audit report, they'll see that the adverse opinion is because of that missing piece, and they're fine with it. If there were ever a time that you had to have that, if we found out that they're going to crack down on that piece missing from the report, we would certainly tell you right away. But a lot of districts and towns say it's a cost benefit ratio, they weigh it, and a lot just choose not to do it. But again, it doesn't impact your ability to obtain a bond. On page 16 of the report is your balance sheet for your major funds and then the aggregate remaining funds or other governmental funds. The first column, the general fund, is your operating fund, and that fund is always reported as a major fund. So at the end of June, you had total assets of $7.2 million, the biggest one being cash and cash equivalents. Liabilities were $1.7 million, and then your fund balance was a total of $5,451,858. Of that, it is broken down further, and the notes are great because if you want to know what a number means, you go to the notes in the middle of the report, and on page 38, note 16, and page 39, it gives you a breakdown of what makes up the different types of the fund balance. So for example, the non-spendable fund balance totaling $161,357 is made up of inventory and prepaid items. On page 39, committed fund balance is made up of the expendable trust fund balance and the voted appropriations voted on at the March 25 meeting. And then the assigned fund balance is a combination of encumbrances, your retained fund balance, and the student activity funds that we classify as district activities, leaving an unassigned fund balance of $2,517,736. Now that number is further analyzed or reported starting on page 49 of the report. We show this is probably, I think this was one of the most important schedules in the report. It's considered other supplementary information. It's not required to be reported, but we think it's very important, schedules 1, 2, and 3. So on Schedule 3, you started out the year with almost $1,980,000. From that, you used to reduce the taxes, the full amount, as well as you had unassigned fund balance appropriated in 24-25 for $250,000. In addition, on Schedule 1, you did have a revenue surplus that gets added back to fund balance of $1,372,552, which is substantially made up of tuition income and investment earnings. So you received more than what you budgeted. Also, on Schedule 2, this will show you what you had for encumbrances at the beginning of the year. They get added to the appropriations. Then we subtract out current year expenditures and current year encumbrances to determine what you have for unexpended appropriations at the end of the year. And luckily, you did, and you had a total of $1,898,785 that was unexpended, to give you an overall budget surplus of $3,271,337. And then we do have to make adjustments for non-spendable committed fund balance as well as the assigned fund balance, in this case being the retained fund balance that gets reclassified, to leave you with an unassigned ending fund balance of $2,517,736. So that is very good. Now, starting on page 50 and 51, these schedules will show you in total, or by fund, your non-major or your other governmental funds. So the total, for example, on page 50 is reported on page 16 under other governmental funds. So the total gets carried forward to page 16. Likewise, on page 51, the total revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance gets carried forward to page 18, and those totals are reported in the other governmental funds column of that schedule. A few things one thing I did want to bring to your attention is that there was a prior period adjustment, which can be found on page 39 to the governmental activities or the government-wide financial statements. And those are on exhibits A and B. During the year, GASB 101, which is about compensated absences, took place. So we gave instruction to the staff on how we had to now report compensated absences. Prior to 101, we would determine what would the payout be for a teacher, an employee, any staff of the district. And then at the end of the year, we would determine what the payout was, if the staff were to leave, everybody was to leave on June 30th, what would the district owe to all the staff? Now, with GASB 101, they now state we have to record a liability for any time, not only that would be paid out, but what would be earned and carried forward to be used at a later date. So based on that calculation, we had to increase your liability for the staff of the district by $4.2 million. Because again, it's a new way of looking at how you record the liability. We also factor in things as if you have sabbatical leave, maternity leave. There's many different leaves we now have to consider as part of this liability. So that's why you will see the large increase in the long-term debt on page 32. Note 10, we did have to restate the beginning balance by that 1.3, and the beginning balance became 5.9 million, ending the end of the year, June 30th, with almost 6.3 million as a liability. Now, is that a liability that you're going to have to pay out at June 30th? No. It's what you are going to carry forward for the staff, for the teachers, for the whole staff of the district. So that's a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. The one other change that we did have to report on this year was in note 20, which is page 40, certain risk disclosures. And now we have to evaluate, because you need to know if there's going to be a major issue with the district. Has something happened in the town, the school, that could materially change or impact your revenue source? Is there, so we have multiple questions, and I don't know if Mr. Gross was part of that question and answer period that we had, but we ask a lot of questions to see if there's anything that could potentially impact your revenue stream during the year. And what we did not find anything that would impact you, but we did make note that your largest revenue source for your operating fund, being your general fund, is your appropriation from the taxpayers. So that makes up, the district appropriation makes up 57% of your operating revenue. So we just make note of that. And as you'll note in this note, that the event did not qualify for further disclosure. We do have a situation, I'm sure you're all aware, that during the year, there was the health insurance with school care, that they had to assess many school districts and towns in the state an additional assessment to cover a shortfall in their reserves. That actually qualified as a certain risk disclosure because of the nature and the amount that these districts had to come up with. So that was in a lot of the districts that we audited this year. But you did not have that. So that required a lot of additional disclosure, and we had to actually, the schools had to decide how they were going to fund it. So a lot used their retained fund balance, others used money, they had surplus revenue, some used it that way. So that was a case-by-case determination of how it was going to be reported. So that's just an example of a type of disclosure that we have to evaluate year to year now and could be disclosed. But that is gone over with the school, with management prior to the issuance of the report. So, other than that, does anyone have any questions?
Go ahead, Jared.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just several questions. Well, let's start with the last one that you talked about. From your experience, you said that our school district didn't have that situation that happened from the healthcare. Could you make a determination of why that didn't affect us versus did affect many others?
Because you do not use them as a provider of services. So it only have impacted those that were receiving services from that provider.
My next question is, we did receive a question from the audience during our deliberative session about the adverse, was it the adverse opinion?
Yep.
Could you just talk a little bit more about that? Because as is explained, I don't think people fully comprehend when we talk about post-employment benefits as you've listed them in the report. Are we talking about their health insurance? Are we talking about they don't get Social Security, but a pension payment? What is it that we're actually talking about there?
So what it is they have to, the actuaries come up with, they have to take a pool, the district's pool of employees, and then they determine what the premium is on what it's going to cost to fund the program. And it's over a 30-year window. So there's a couple of components that are made up of that. There's the New Hampshire retirement portion, but then there's also a district portion, which is where the premiums come into play. So what you have to do is you have to have an actuary, like an independent actuary, come in and take all the information, employees, what they're paying for insurance, their ages, their dependents, all kinds of information. They take that and then they may come up with what could be the liability at the end of each year for the next 30 years. Because you don't have that done, we don't know what that liability is. So we can't determine whether or not the financial statements are fairly stated. By looking at the other post-employment liability that's funded through New Hampshire retirement, it's a big number. So we only assume it's not the district's portion, if you will not be as large as that, but it's going to be a big number. So because we do not have that liability, and oftentimes there's a related deferred outflow of resources as well as a deferred inflow of resources. Because we don't have those numbers on the financial statements, we can't say that they're fairly stated. So and you're not the only one. Again, as I mentioned, this district isn't the only one. A lot of districts choose not to pay for that actuarial study because right now it doesn't impact any of the ability for you to borrow money or to get a bond. But that's why we have to issue the adverse, because we just don't know what that number is.
So you bring up two items. This liability that you talk about, is it a liability to the district if we were ever short, we would pay that, even though the premiums have been generated and we assume agreed to by a contract that's been had with the employees?
Right. That's a good question. Right now, I don't see that it's got to be reported. It's always been there. Whether or not the district would actually have to pay out that number is yet to be determined.
And my last question I have on this line is, for the premiums that are paid, from your review, how is that determined? For the premiums that are currently paid, that might be too many, too much, might be not enough, unless an actuarial study was done. But how is the current premium, as you understand it, determined that we pay to that system?
There is a state statute, and I do not recall the number, but it does talk about how the premiums are calculated, and what they do is they take the pool of all the district employees that are on New Hampshire retirement, or, you know, in the retirement system, or in a retirement system, or for retirees, as well as anyone receiving health benefits. Then they take all that information, the age, it's mostly age, but they determine, they take that information, and then they determine what the premium will be based on the average age of the individuals in the district. So, for example, in my firm, if I were a district, an older individual would drive the rate up, the premium cost up quite a bit. But if you have a younger population, it's going to drive the premium down. So a lot of it has to do with the age of the participants.
Just so that's
Yeah.
clear, so the state determines what that is based on their actuarial review, and that's kind of dictated to what this district would pay for our employees that we have it.
That's the state's rule, and then the health insurance companies determine the premium. But there is the statute that requires it be determined that way.
I just want to make sure it's clear to people that might be listening. This isn't the district coming up with what we should
No.
be paying into it.
No.
And so we're just following along on what the state law has given us and what companies that we're using for these insurance benefits are also kind of telling us what we should
Correct.
be paying.
And again, they're a lot of them, they're estimates. It's an estimate. So you'll see in the governance letter that we also provide, we talk about key estimates that are in the report, and then there is the note on estimates, and pension liability, the post-employment benefit liability, those are estimates, as are your useful lives for capital assets. Those are an estimate as well.
Thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you, Jared. Anyone else, questions, comments?
Just want to make sure
Go ahead,
Eric
Jack.
can explain that next year.
Oh, no, it's all you, Jack. I'm retiring from public speaking.
I know, it's a very this one is very complicated. And I often will tell people, not just even on that's GASB 87. I'm sorry, 75. But you can Google, if you go on to gasb.org and then scroll down to pronouncements, and you can read it, and you have to just keep reading it. It's very confusing.
No, as a statement, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I just want to make sure that we take this opportunity to hear from the source
Yeah.
on what it actually is, so I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jared. Anyone else? You have anything you want to say? Brett?
No, I think it's actually nice that Mr. Gross is here, because when we think back on when we first brought in Plotzik and Sanderson and all the work that Mr. Gross and his team did to really get things in a good spot, I continue to be very grateful and appreciative to Cheryl for the work that she's done to support us, continuing to audit our DOE 25s, which I think is one of the most important things that we do, so that when we have our important tax rate setting information all reviewed, that it's reviewed by our auditors, and that's something that not all school districts do. So many thanks to Doug, who I think has done an incredible job, and his team, Heather Kelly, and everyone in the business office doing a great job. And again, many thanks to Plotzik and Sanderson. We're very appreciative that we're in the early queue with them, so we want to keep that early time slot. It's really important for us. That's how you get your DOE 25 audited. It's all connected, so we're just very appreciative.
And just as a thank you, and yours, again, was the first audit out the door this year, so.
We appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Appreciate you coming
Thanks for
tonight.
coming.
Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Yes, you too.
Two.
Have a good night, Cheryl.
You too.
All right, so we're going to move on to the committee reports. We'll start with the manifest and voucher. Go ahead,
All
Carol.
right, so we have, I will make a motion to approve the manifest dated December 29th through February 2nd of 2026 in the total value of $4,690,704.42.
Okay, so I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. By Jack? All right, go ahead.
All right, the first category, as usual, is payroll, taxes, and benefits. We had two payrolls in this period, one on 1/8 and the other on 1/22. That total amount was $1,605,418. The total of this category is $3,340,832.36. The next category is special education. We had $159,620 paid for out-of-district services to Seven Hills, $76,904 to in and out-of-district transportation through Durham School Services, and then $41,161 for out-of-district services to regional services. The total amount for this category is $390,304.04. The next category is general expenses. The first three are the largest amount, the first being $205,608 for the Goffstown share of the SAU 19 assessment. Then we had $193,643 to Primex for unemployment and workers' comp. And then we paid Goffstown Truck Center $142,934 for regular education transportation. The total in this general expenses category is $805,431.35. The last category is food services, where we paid Performance Food Service $22,092 for food and commodities.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Just a reminder that these are all on the website, so if you're interested in the other amounts that add up to the totals I announced, you can go on there to find it.
Great, thank you. Any questions? All right, I had a motion, I had a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teacher, student, opposed, abstaining. We're unanimous. All right, is there any more for?
Nope, we'll send the manifest around here.
Okay. All right, Budget Committee, Jared.
We had no meetings because there were no changes to either deliberative session. Yay us! Jack and I were very happy about that.
Yep.
All right, C&E, Ginny.
We have had no meetings. Our meeting tonight was canceled for this meeting, and we will be meeting on February 16th, 7 p.m. at the SAU.
All right, thank you, Ginny. PNC, Retta.
Yes, PNC met this evening, and we are working on two documents that I'd just like to share with you this evening. The first one is in your packet. It's the subcommittee overview. And what we did is pulled information together from years past along with some of our input to give an overview of what all the subcommittees are. I should probably back up a little bit. We're thinking about new board members coming on and making sure that they have the information they need in order to really get onboarded and jump right into the meetings. So this was the first thing that we worked on. And we've taken a couple of passes at this. It has the major committees as well as some of the other ones that are town, as well as the SAU subcommittees. And we'd like to ask each of the subcommittees at their next meeting to look at this and just review it, or you could review it now and get feedback to either Scott or myself, and we'll make sure it gets into this document. So the thought is this will be in its last format by the time the board comes together after elections, elects chair, vice chair, and then we all talk about what we want. So I don't know if anyone has any comments or questions on this now.
I think this is an excellent idea.
Yeah.
So that people know when they're choosing the committees what they're getting themselves into.
It was very fortunate that we had two of our newest board members on this subcommittee, so they had lots of input. And I think we've had a shared experience, so we're hoping to make it easier. The other item that we worked on is a new school board member orientation/onboarding. So I want to be clear, we have an official orientation, but we're trying to fill in the gaps from the time when somebody, through the unofficial results, finds out that they're going to be on the school board to maybe a month afterwards, knowing what they are doing, or how the board runs, who the contact people are. Keeping in mind, they don't have an SAU email until they get their laptop and that all gets set up. So there's a lot of things that happen early on that may be, there's too much information to take in, and I don't know how many calls Denise takes during those periods because there's a lot of questions. But I know both Shane and I were kind of fielding questions. It's like, oh my, there's a lack of information here. We didn't print it out. Right now, it's 11 pages long, and it's really a high-level view, letting them know what to expect, who to contact, the fact that they need to have come in and become notarized to participate in the board. So all of that information is in there. We didn't print it out. We're going to send it to you electronically with the hopes that you can review it and provide comments right in the document, so that it can be reviewed on that March 2nd meeting, such that by the time the elections happen, we'll have a document that can be shared out. I will not be here on March 2nd, so Laura will facilitate that conversation. So still, I think we're about 80% there on it. We still have a little more work to do, but really appreciate your feedback on that. We admit that this is not as good as it could be, but it's good enough for this first time around. We hope to prove it over time.
Yeah,
So
that's
that-
wonderful.
That's
Great, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
We're
definitely.
88% done now.
88, yeah.
Last half an hour.
And there is one more document that I've tasked Heather to look at,
Yeah.
is the description of what the chair and vice chair, like the real nuts and bolts and what to expect, because we're going to need to elect another chair and vice chair, so.
Right,
See my notes.
yeah.
That's all I got.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you very much, PNC, for doing that. All right, policy review, Shane.
So policy did not meet tonight because we are here for a
Right.
full board meeting. But policy will meet next Monday, which is the 16th at 5:30 at the SAU. And it's a great time, so please come out and bring some coffee.
Thank you, Shane. All right, SAU board meeting, Jared.
Yeah, April 15th for our next inaugural 26-27 fiscal year board meeting.
Yes. And that's at the SAU.
Correct.
All right, and SAU joint committee, Jack.
Yes.
Will
We'll
be,
meet in June,
okay,
as it says here,
yep,
Yeah.
at the
at
SAU.
the SAU.
All right. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. So I'll start with some sad news to share. If you didn't hear, Linda Pepin, who was a longtime administrative assistant here at Goffstown High School and across many schools over the years, passed away. Really good lady, and I was really sad to hear that. So condolences to her family. Good news to share, our crossing guard who got hit over by Bartlett is doing well. So what we thought was going to be a very significant incident, he is doing well. I spoke with the chief a couple of times after the accident, and we believe he's home and doing well. So good news to hear there. A couple of other things I wanted to share with you, that we have been having some ongoing issues with our emergency generator at Mountain View Middle School. So the board will recall that generator is actually original to the building, so it is at this point a pretty old piece of equipment, and we have been having some issues, and at this point the generator is not functioning. So Mr. Loring is doing his best to see if we can have a head gasket redone on it. So we're evaluating options, but in all likelihood, this is going to be an expensive fix. If we're able to repair the existing generator, and if not, we'll be having a bigger generator conversation, which we'll be having slightly down on the agenda next anyhow. So I'll save a little bit of this. I wanted to let you know, I shared with the board that I had asked Principal Milligan at Mountain View Middle School to consider a different model for 8th grade promotion this year. So the board will recall that in the past, we have done 8th grade promotion on the same day as Goffstown High School promotion. This year, this was a challenge for us last year. This year, it's an even larger challenge, that the date that we have for graduation is very early, and it's much earlier than we would want our middle school 8th grade students to have their promotion. So we will be moving forward this year with a new model. It will look slightly different, but on Saturday, June 20th, they're looking to hold 3 different sessions for 8th grade promotion. It will look smaller and a little less formal, but it'll be very similar to what's been done in the past, but we will do it by team in 3 different times. So tentatively scheduled for 10 a.m., noon, and 2 p.m., 3 different sessions. I don't know which team is doing which. I'm sure that Principal Milligan will announce that. But this is something that's going to be family-friendly. It's going to be a little lower key. And some of you will remember that in the past, we did 8th grade promotion here at Goffstown High School, and it was a nightmare because we had to limit tickets to only 2 tickets per graduate. And you can just imagine how many families that would be problematic for. So we feel good about this model. It will be different. Anytime you do something different, that sometimes takes a little bit of adjusting, but I think that they have a nice plan in place, and we're excited about this new change.
Go ahead, Shane.
So that will take place at MVMS?
That will be at the middle school, and they're going to do it 1 team at a time. So, yeah, that's the plan.
Great, thank you.
Yep. We, as the board knows, we are hiring a replacement for Tori Underwood, our principal at New Boston Central School. And so that search is underway. Mrs. Kohler and Mrs. McGrath are leading that search, and Principal Bill Demers from Maple Ave is also sitting on that committee to give his expertise and opinion to the process. So we heard back on the latest round of SAFE grants, and unfortunately, we didn't get anything. So this year, there was a total of $8 million available, and they had $24 million in projects submitted. So the commission essentially told us that if you have done well in the past, you will not do well this round, and that is exactly what we experienced. So we didn't get anything, even though we submitted for multiple projects, around $100,000 worth of projects for each school. We didn't get anything this year. I did see the list. Mr. Gross and I actually went through and looked at the list. And there were a lot of school districts that had not received any money on the previous rounds. They're the ones that got the majority of the money this time. So we have those projects ready to go. So when there's another round, we will be ready to go. And it's just unfortunate that in the past, it was more of a sort of competitive bid process that you had to have your materials ready, you had to submit, and now it's it looks like that process has been changed, and it's more just if you didn't get your money, that you're going to get your money, and less emphasis on that competitive process, but be that as it may. I wanted to give you an open enrollment update. This is moving at sort of warp speed. So what we continue to watch are, and by the way, there are hundreds of bills that pertain to our public schools right now, between 200 and 300 bills that are making their way through the legislative process. Specifically, we're looking at Senate Bill 101 and House Bill 751. These are the 2 primary pieces of open enrollment legislation, and what we understand to be the case is that the Senate has already approved this bill, and it looks like it may be moving forward without a public hearing. Without a public hearing. One of the most significant pieces of legislation that has been considered by this state in decades that pertains to our public schools isn't going to have a public hearing. So this is what we're up against. So what we understand is there will be a vote, it could be as early as this week, but within the next week or so, likely a vote on the House floor and open enrollment will be decided without a public hearing. Yeah. Two other items. So at this point, regarding the March 2nd agenda, we have been collecting agenda items and have very few at this point. So Mr. Totten was not able to be here tonight. As you know, he had a personal commitment. I didn't want to speak on his behalf because I know there are a couple of things that he might need to move forward. But at this point, we don't have any time-sensitive agenda items, but we will let the board know if we feel like we need to hold a meeting on March 2nd. But as of right now, the agenda is very light. Okay, so just giving everyone that heads up. And lastly, Retta spoke to some work around new board member orientation and onboarding, but we will plan to run our SAU new board member orientation as we expect a couple of new board members, and we will get that scheduled after the election. And I would stop there and ask if there's any questions that I can answer, Mrs. Kohler, Mr. Gross. Mr. Gerzone is innocently minding his own business, but I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions as well.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I just wanted to say something. One of Mrs. Pepin's family members said to me, and I just wanted to share it, that the family was very pleased that so many people from the school district came in to honor the family at her services. So I just wanted to say that out loud.
Thanks, Jenny. Go ahead,
Really
Jerry.
good lady.
Just as a question, thank you. For the new Boston Central School and the replacement of the principal, I know that Mr. DeRocher was an administrator at the middle school, both in a vice principal and a dean of students capacity. So I think he'd be a good resource, but should somebody from the current administration be part of that as it is a feeder program into the middle school? So anybody like Brandy or our current dean of students or something along those lines be present? Because I know that they are there when we're looking for new principals or assistant principals at the middle school.
That's a good question. I mean, we can certainly consider it. However, having spent so many years at the middle school, I feel like I can really speak to transition and everything else with middle school. In looking at an elementary principal, we felt it really important to have a sitting elementary principal from Goffstown on the committee. So we have a very large committee right now. I'll be honest with you, we have 15 members already sitting on that committee. So I feel like with all of us, we will be able to hit the transition part of those conversations.
In the past, we've had middle school administrators sit on some of these. Actually, when we hired Mr. Grisone, there was a middle school administrator that was on that.
Yes.
So yes, in the past. Yep.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Retta.
This is probably more of a comment, but to go back to the new school board member orientation, we've got to work on the title because this is not to replace what happens at the SAU office, which is an opportunity for the board members to be at that building, to meet the staff. And it's really more informational, and I know that Scott's been working with some of the internal staff to make sure what we're saying is consistent with what happens at the SAU. Like, it's one of the checklist items that they need to schedule their, the SAU orientation. So it's more of a compliment rather than this is your orientation, which is, it's just an informational piece.
Thanks, Retta.
Perhaps an information session.
Yeah.
So, just to put it out there, because Retta talked about this earlier, so having no meeting March 2nd may mess up PNC doing stuff too, because they were going to meet earlier, right? You guys, and come with the final draft of stuff to the board meeting?
I think the first, it would be a business item on the agenda to confirm the subcommittee piece. I don't think you're going to find a lot of things that you're going to edit in that. So if we don't meet, that could just come to the full board in that organizational
Okay, I just want to
meeting.
make sure that we were all good with that, if
And
that's the
then
decision.
the orientation packet, I would love to get your feedback, and you can just send it through the electronic version,
Okay.
because that is something that will go out right after elections,
Right.
before our next meeting. Again, there's not very there's nothing, no surprises there.
Okay.
We just want to make
I
it,
just want to make sure
Yeah.
if there was no meeting, it wouldn't mess you guys up.
Well, I will say, though, that there's a draft letter, there's a lot of things that would happen. So, I mean, if there was no meeting, this outlines that who contacts the new school board members, their oath of office. It kind of, it simply summarizes what we have done
right.
in the past and really articulates like who is responsible for, for doing it and when. But we have not in the past, I don't know if we have in the past sent a welcome letter or things like that, which is in here. I don't, as Retta said, I don't think this is benign, but
Right.
it's just written as to like what we're doing. It does not supplant, what the SAU does by any stretch.
A lot of that welcome message would be emailed, and I think this would happen at the administrative level, that a communication goes out. So these are pieces I'm not aware of because I don't know what happens before I come to the meeting. So it's something that we could work out perhaps with Denise. I don't know who's responsible for each of these pieces, but what happens at the SAU office is the pieces that need to be worked out. Again, we're going to do the best we can, which is a lot more than
Right.
what
Than
we
we've
had
ever
in the
had
past.
before.
So it's not going to be perfect, but I
Okay.
think as long as we get feedback from all of you, then I think that will guide us.
Okay, sounds good. So any other questions, comments for Brian? All right, seeing none, moving on. There is no old business, so now we're going to go into the new business about the generator.
Yeah, so the generator. So as the correspondence folder was going around, you had the opportunity to see the letter that I submitted on your behalf. So surprisingly, the generator project is still a possibility. I don't know if we're going to get this or not. We certainly heard about, cuts to FEMA and the like, but at this point, what we need to do is we need to get in the minutes that the board is in concurrence and the board can affirm the commitment of our local 25% match for this grant, which would be $136,398. So we need to confirm and affirm that we were ready and willing to contribute that amount of money in order to be eligible for the remaining 75% of the generator grant. Where would the $136,000 come from? At this point, I would identify either looking at fund balance or probably more appropriately, I would look at our contingency fund. That is exactly the reason that we have it, to be eligible for emergencies or things of this nature. So if we do want to be eligible for this project moving forward, we do need to have a vote of the board that we are committed to that number.
Any questions, comments, motions, thoughts?
So if someone was so
A motion
inclined.
to affirm
Oh, there's Jared.
and acknowledge the letter that was sent by the superintendent of our 25% match for a safe generator with monies to be determined at a later date, funding to be determined at a later date,
And the amount is $136,398.
as stated.
Thank you, Jared.
Second.
And Ginny is seconding. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Teachers, students, opposed, abstaining. We're unanimous. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to staffing.
Okay, on the staffing sheet, notifications only, we have some track changes, so congratulations to these 4 teachers for continuing to work on their professional development and taking care of our kids at the same time. For your approval this evening, I'm very pleased to bring a recommendation for a new administrator nomination for Mr. Josh DeRocher as the new curriculum coordinator at Goffstown High School,
And his resignation.
and his corresponding resignation as the music teacher.
All right, go ahead, Shane.
I just want to be clear that this is not a new position. This is a repurposing of the current associate principal position. Last year, we eliminated the curriculum position to add the associate principal.
For 1 year.
For 1 year.
Yep.
So Mr. Gazone could transition into his principal role for next year. So this is not a new administrative position. This is a repurposing of a position that we previously repurposed. Just to be clear on that. And I believe Mr. Gazone did take on some of the curriculum coordinator responsibilities in this transition. So it'll just be going back to the curriculum coordinator as opposed to an associate principal.
Seconded.
Seconded what?
I thought he made the motion.
I'll make a motion too.
I thought he made the motion.
Do you want to make a motion to accept the resignation and then?
Yes, and
The nomination?
yes, yeah.
So Shane meant both, I was waiting for you to say more.
So as I explained what's going on, I would also like to make a motion to approve the resignation and subsequent nomination of Josh DeRocher.
Thank you, Shane. And Jared's going to second?
Correct.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing
Yep.
that's all in one. Did you get all that, Denise? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Teachers, students, opposed, abstaining, we are unanimous. All right. All right, so the next is the top 3 things. So the audit, right?
Yes.
Yep.
One thing of note, I was really impressed with Mr. Davis's update for the middle school.
Yeah.
So I jotted that down. And, I mean, open enrollments jumped out, but I don't think we covered enough to
Yeah.
really make it one of the 3 things.
Go ahead, Jared.
There are 2 items, kind of going off the same thing that we heard for the awesomeness that was the 17 members at St. A's and winning. But also, I think, talking about the 8th grade graduation, knowing that's still
That's
coming
right.
forward, I think it's good to get out now.
Yeah.
And some of that verbiage.
Yeah,
Should we do the audit as well?
yeah, we already said the audit.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I think the graduation.
Yeah. So the audit, the
Because you know
middle
they'll be
school
feedback on
update,
that.
and then the 8th grade? Is that what everybody's thinking?
That's good for me.
Okay.
Retta, you got all that?
Yep.
All right. Any other business that may come before the meeting? And we do have non-public.
We do have non-public.
Chair, just because
Yes.
we might not be having a meeting
Yep.
on March 2nd, is this an appropriate time to talk about who we're going to be sending for poll work, or not poll workers, but
Oh.
election officials?
Yeah,
for
we
the election
can.
in March?
Yeah, we can.
And so I'll volunteer myself for the day.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Wendy.
May I also do just another, in your packet, there's also a flyer about
Oh.
the social media
Oh.
presentation.
Yes, saw that.
We have Mr. Fleming from ICAC, who will be coming and doing a presentation for parents and students in grades 6th grade and up. It's appropriate, but it is free to the public, where they're going to be talking about AI, dangers of social media, a lot of important topics. So I just mentioned that as well.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that's been posted on all of our schools' websites. I'm sorry, the websites for New Boston, Goffstown, and the SAU, as well as all of our social media accounts. So even though this presentation is for parents, ages 6th graders and above can also attend.
Okay.
But, you know, with all of the news about deep fakes and all the things that happen here, this is a very important program that the Goffstown Police Department and ICAC are doing to try to help parents in that regard.
And
Right.
ICAC is the Internet Crimes Against Children,
Children.
if you didn't know that acronym.
So to go back to Jared, so are you guys having a table at the election? Is that part of PNC, or what did you, I know you guys did it last year.
No,
Or
we didn't
at a
talk
table.
about,
Okay.
yeah, we didn't talk about that, so whatever we want to do, we should probably decide.
Yeah, so just to give some context, I know I brought up before to this board, Heather and I talked with Jim Raymond, who is our moderator for our school election. He said that he thinks that it's a good idea. You know, Heather was right there with me, that I think it's a good idea that we have our own election officials, just like the select board has their officials at the election as well. So we would basically be those pro tem members representing the school election to make sure the moderator's doing their jobs, things are flowing as they should be, having the ability to have the free and fair election that we think that we deserve. So I know that during our retreat, I think that we've been deficient in that duty, and I think it's something that we should be doing. And Jim said he has no problem with it, and he would basically swear in whoever needs to be there at that meeting,
Okay.
at that election.
So does anybody want to, go ahead, Jack.
Sharon volunteered, but more than one? Should there
I
be
can
two of
be
us?
the-
or-
I mean, Jim said it should be a majority. I think trying to get 4 people, because we would have 6 board members at that time at the election, I think trying to get 4 would be hard or difficult. But I think having the overlap coverage with the select board,
Yeah.
I think is appropriate, because the select board needs to be there from before open to after close. So polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So if we're able to break up some of the day of the select board and have our members there covering those, I think it's appropriate. I think they'll take whoever they can get. I know that I've already signed up for the full day here at the high school. But having somebody, another person here, maybe somebody at Bartlett as well, I think would be appropriate.
And where do you sign up at the town hall?
Basically, I think whoever wants to do, we would look for you as the chair to send that over to Derek and to Jim.
Okay.
To say, here is our election officials that would be representing the school board, and then they would tell us the dates and times that we can show up,
Okay.
and even give our availability.
Okay. All right, so then just let me know who wants to go over so I can send an email.
I would be willing to.
Okay. So basically, and
I
Jack?
think I will be.
Okay.
I have to check the
Okay.
freestyle race schedule.
Yeah. So I guess my only concern is making sure we don't have a quorum.
Yeah.
Because if you have a quorum, we have
If
to
we
post it.
go to different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to different places, but not have at least 5 of you on spot, would not be good. Go ahead,
I don't
Rheta.
think 5 would be a lot.
I
I don't
know.
know that you
You
need
would
that
have,
many.
no.
And I'm also available afternoon.
Okay.
If you want to stagger it.
Well, I'll just email Derek and give him the names and have him reach out to everybody, and you guys can let him know times, because I don't know what time we'll need stuff. All right, go ahead, Jack.
Just one other thing to go on what Wendy was talking
Yes.
about the AI stuff. There is a alumni from right in my class who was a professor at Plymouth State, all about computer gaming, AI strategies. Has a long talk on YouTube where she presented to the Plymouth at the Plymouth Library, the college library. She's now retired, and I think if we asked her, she would come and present to any group of students, teachers, board members. And I think it would be a resource to reach out for. She's got master's degrees and doctorates in it.
That's great.
Maybe you could share that contact with Mrs. Kohler?
Yes,
Yep.
please. Yeah. All right, Laura.
Same topic. I was just going to say, in addition to this evening presentation, there's also a during the school day presentation for grade 7 and 8 that will be happening right at the middle school.
There is,
Same
yes.
day. So,
And Principal Milligan has sent out correspondence to parents about that already.
Great.
Yep.
Anything else? Oh, yes.
We did have one more. So just as a small token of our appreciation for our departing 2 board members, we do have a pewter apple for you.
Thank
So
you.
we sometimes have done this at deliberative or different times, but not knowing if we're going to have that meeting on
Great.
March 2nd, just wanted to thank both of you for your years of service and wish you well. We will miss you both.
Thank you.
I will
Appreciate
truly
it.
be missed.
Yes, thank you, guys. All right, so with that, we're going to go into non-public, RSA 91A 32C.